If you're somebody looking for comic book recommendations, or you're just interested in what is good right now in comic books, this is the video for you. It's so good. It's the #1 comic. You've heard about some great comics in this episode. This is the #1 comic, believe me, okay? So, wow, okay? Aren't you lucky that you saw this video? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Guys, I want to do another of these, best of the month videos and talk about some of the big releases that came out in the month of September. I gotta say, it wasn't the best month in comic book history, but there were some titles that I think really stood out and I think are really worth reading, and I think are probably at the beginning of really good new runs in comics. So there's a lot to look forward to from some of these titles as well. So, coming in at number 5 then, Creepshow. Now, Creepshow is a book that for me is really interesting and really cool because it reminds me so much of like very early childhood memories of seeing Tales from the Crypt on YTV, right?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Anybody else grow up in Canada? Or seeing like EC comics from the 1950s and like who knows where we would have seen those. Or watching Freaky Stories, another of those YTV shows. And it's that style of like meet your narrator and listen to his evil tales type thing that is so, in my opinion, charming in a kind of macabre, sinister sort of a way. And Creepshow is really in keeping with that tradition, right? That style of storytelling. Now, Creepshow has been running for a while. I think they even made a TV series, an Amazon series.
Who are you?
And while this first issue of the 4th volume might not be the greatest Creepshow anthology of them all, I still think it's a really important comic book because I think horror works really well in comic books. And I think I would love to see more horror in comics. And Creepshow is a really good gateway into that. And to praise the book itself, Oliver Ono, who is now currently on a book at IDW called Starship Godzilla, which is as cool as it sounds, drew the second of the 2 stories in Creepshow #1, and that is my favorite one just because of how good it looks. While the storytelling in the issue might not be as strong as I wanted it to be, or maybe not as unpredictable as we've seen before with Creepshow, I think it's a really good comic book, and I'm still putting it at number 5 for the month of September. Okay, here was something I didn't see coming at all. There was a book that came out in September called The Batman Second Night. And this, I feel, flew under the radar completely. I didn't see anybody talking about it. There was no fanfare. There was another, of course, Batman title recently, Matt Fraction's relaunch of Batman, that got a ton of interest and that I gotta tell you, I am really not enjoying. But this, The Batman Second Night book, came out to basically no interest whatsoever. At least that's how it felt to me. Okay, maybe I don't know the right people. Batman Second Night really nailed it, I gotta say. Dan Jurgens is writing the book, and I think he did a great job. And we're so lucky to have Mike Spicer of Daniel Warren Johnson fame doing the colors. They really captured this 1940s aesthetic, which obviously they were going for. The book is set in the 40s. And I really like the throwback to like original Batman, like the first Batman comics sort of era. And they did a really good job bringing that to the modern day, in the presentation, in the villains, in the set pieces, in the dialogue. And I think it's awesome that we have this throwback to, the proper original Batman, what the character was when he was created, as opposed to, for example, Matt Fraction's Batman, which I think is so all over the place and off-putting and bad that, well, I don't even want to read it anymore. At least with the Batman, The Second Night, we're seeing something that is honoring the traditions of the character and also bringing them to the modern day in a way that is really interesting to read, that is so much less predictable or boring or template or hack than some other Batman titles feel right now, okay? And I am pointing fingers. So Batman Second Night, that's number 4 for me. That's a really good comic book. Okay. This top 3 is really tight, guys. This is a real pick'em for me now. These last 3 great books of the month. Coming in at number 3 is another Batman book. This one, Absolute Batman number 12. Okay, talk about, interesting and creative and different and unique, right? When we're dealing with a character like Batman, who's been around for like 100 years, or Spider-Man or Superman or any of these big characters, it often feels to me like we're telling the same stories again and again, and that the stakes in these stories are very low because Spider-Man is not going to die. And even if he does die, he'll be back in a few years in a new number 1 and whatever, right? But things are different in Absolute Batman and in many of the other absolute titles coming out of DC or the ultimate titles coming out of Marvel. And that's because these absolute titles, if you haven't been reading them, give these great creators the ability to recreate these characters and these universes and tell unique stories where we don't know what's going to happen every issue. And in Absolute Batman number 11, which came out in September, we saw more of the most monstrous Bane you can even imagine. Talk about breaking the bat, right, guys? We also got to see a bit more of the new Killer Croc, the absolute Killer Croc, which I really like. Like, it's fully a monster. And what they're doing, what Scott Snyder, I should say, is doing with the rest of the cast in Gotham, like Edward Nygma or who will one day become Two-Face, Harvey Dent, and so on, is really, really interesting and is just increasing the stakes all the time, and the unpredictability is really good. Just when you think you figured it out, like, oh, okay, this is the direction we're going with this book. No. Things keep getting flipped on their head, and this is a really rare thing to be able to do with a Batman comic because of how long we've been telling Batman stories. So Absolute Batman, it's a great title. I look forward to it every month. I can't wait to read it. It's one of those ones that when I am reading it, I don't want it to end because of how refreshing a take it is on the character. Absolute Batman number 12 coming in at number 3. So just wait to see what's coming up here. Okay. Huge number 2 in September, and that is Transformers number 24. Guys, I've been talking a lot about Transformers on this channel lately because I really truly consider this run from number 1 to number 24 with Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer one of the greatest modern day comic book runs there's been. Okay. In 15 years, in 20 years, comic book readers are going to be looking back at this run and they're going to be talking about how this run, oh my gosh, this run was something, oh my gosh, we got to get the modern era epic of this run. We got to get the collected blah, blah, blah of this run. Like, oh my gosh, Daniel Warren Johnson Transformers. It's going to be one of those comic books that we go back to time and again, that new creators are going to be borrowing from and be influenced by. It is a really good comic book. Daniel Warren Johnson now has like this incredible body of work, and they're all virtually all creator-owned titles. Okay, maybe except for his work on Beta Ray Bill or Wonder Woman. Practically everything else, at least everything off the top of my head, is creator-owned, and he continues to revisit some pretty, similar themes, like, okay, the family unit and the theme of war and loss and what is it all worth and things like this. And that's okay, because this is a guy who is telling stories that have a purpose. He's not just drawing explosions and he's not just having giant alien robots smash into each other. These are stories that have a heart and they have a meaning and they have a reason, right? And that's important. And this Energon universe that they're creating here at Image Comics under Skybound, under the supervision of Robert Kirkman, is really something. Because what they've taken is something that a lot of people are nostalgic about, not me. I have no nostalgia at all about Transformers or G.I. Joe. and they're making it into something that is a really great jumping on point for a whole new generation. And they're lifting the material way beyond where I thought it could go. Okay, think about it. Transformers, when I was a kid, I was like, even when I was a kid, I was like, wait, giant robots that turn into trucks? Who cares? G.I. Joes? What? Army men? Who cares? To me, it seemed like nothing, right? It seemed like this is fluff. And I was a kid. And now, as a grown-up, reading the stuff that they're putting out of the Energon universe at Image, I'm like, what the? This is the coolest. This is what it was all this time? It was this cool? No, I don't think it was this cool. I think it's become really cool nowadays. And this is, okay, so here's where it is, right? Here, this is, get this. Issue 24, which is the number 2 issue of the month of September, is the end of the Daniel Warren Johnson run on the book, okay? This great run on Transformers is over. You can now go and read the entire thing at once. So go ahead. But what's even crazier is that starting from the time this comes out, probably a week from now, or maybe even, I don't even remember. It might even be tomorrow. Robert Kirkman of Invincible and Walking Dead fame, and Dan Mora, one of the massive superstar artists of our time, are partnering up on the next run of Transformers. So as if there wasn't enough going on with the Energon universe, you now have this huge team, this superstar follow-up to one of the great runs in modern comics history. So wow, okay, aren't you lucky that you saw this video, that now you can go and read the Transformers run that just finished and jump on the bandwagon for the Robert Kirkman run. You're welcome. And last but not least, what is and what was the best comic book of last month continues to be the best comic book of this month, and that is Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum by Prince and Marazzo, the team behind Image Comics' Ice Cream Man. I just talked about how difficult it is to bring something fresh and something new and something creative and something unpredictable to a character that's been around as long as Batman or Superman or Spider-Man. These guys are doing something with Superman that is possibly the greatest thing they could ever have thought of doing with Superman. And that is turning Superman into an experiment, okay? To see what happens if Superman consumes these newly discovered forms of kryptonite. It's wacky, it's weird, it's you gotta see it to believe it. It's one of the best comic books running, and we've only had 2 issues, okay? In the second issue, there are all these allusions as well, literary allusions to Alice in Wonderland. So it's not only that it's like cool and interesting, it's like higher brow than a lot of comic books, and I really appreciate that, okay? As a guy who's into like literature. Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum is like, I would only read Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum if that's what there was. That's all I would be reading then. So this, I can't do it any justice. You have to get it and read it. I'll throw this at you though. What's cool and what's beginning to happen in this book is that we're starting to see other members of the DC universe be a part of this thing. And I really like how they're being presented too. So we just got to see, of course, we got to see Batman, and he's like the most different Batman. I don't even know what adjective to use for him. In the first issue, we've now seen Wonder Woman, we've had a Green Lantern, and on the last page of issue 2, someone else appears at this like super turning point moment for Superman. It's so good. It's the number 1 comic. You've heard about some great comics in this episode. This is the number 1 comic, believe me, okay? Get Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum. If you're gonna read anything, read Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum. You'll be surprised. And isn't that the coolest thing about it? Guys, it's been another episode of the Dill Comic Book Show. There's more to come around here. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Say hello in the comments. Things are heating up, but also we're a small channel here, okay? It's nice to hear from you if you're enjoying things around here, so don't be shy. Okay? I'm Dill Comic Books. Read good comics.